Welcome to the Challenging Child podcast, where you'll discover ideas to help change the behaviour of a child who is aggressive, defiant, controlling, or dishonest. Let's join Jill Tree from Stressed Parent.
Good lunchtime. It always still feels like morning to me, but it's actually 1 o'clock and lunchtime and afternoon. So welcome to today's live, where we're looking at helping your children find the pause. I get so many families talking to me and telling me their child goes from 0 to 100, from calm, happy to rage, and there's no space. There's no space in between. And it makes it really stressful for us. It makes it really difficult to know how to manage. It's a bit of a shock sometimes. We feel disarmed, we feel powerless. Then we become the victim of any onslaught, any attack, any rage. So let's see, can we help find a little bit of pause in our children? Well, let's have a think about, first of all, the brain. Now, yes, absolutely. Children who are neurodiverse, maybe fetal alcohol syndrome is something that's present in their brain that's caused a little bit of brain injury. Yes, it's going to be harder for them to find the pause. And it's even more important that we help them find that pause. So let's look at the brain. Here's one I made earlier. And the brain is made, as I'm sure you probably know, of 2 hemispheres, 2 halves. Plus, anybody who knows anything about child's rage will know that they go into what's known as the basal ganglia or the reptilian brain, which is this part of the brain where we're not rational. And we can all go there. As adults, we can go there. So we want to, as far as possible, prevent our children from landing up in their reptilian brains, and we want to help develop their ability to stay rational by helping develop the connection between the 2 hemispheres of the right and left brains. So we have a tiny little bit of tissue here, not very big in comparison to the whole of the brain. That's not very big. It's called the corpus callosum, and it's the only bit of tissue that really connects the right and left hemispheres. So the first thing, this isn't going to be an instant win. None of anything I teach is an instant win and a magic bullet and an overnight success. No, this is going to take some developing in your child. But the way we develop that connection to help keep rational is we help the child cross the midline. Now, the midline is an imaginary line through the body. And the more we cross the midline, the more we develop that connection. Movement develops neural pathways. Believe it or not, if you don't believe me, go and have a look. Google it. Does movement create neural pathways? And I'm sure Mrs. Google will say yes, it does. So any sort of movement, brisk walking, if we're crossing the midline, would really help with our brain development. Let's think about some brain gym. So this would be something you could do. Schools do it quite regularly, particularly primary schools do it before they start the day. And it really gets the child's brain engaged and ready for learning. So we want the brains really engaged, ready for thinking and not reacting. So simple things like, this is why I'm in this room today, simple things like right hand to left knee might be something you could get your child to do. Angels in the snow. Angels in the snow. Now, get a child to lie on the ground and break it up into sections. So angels in the snow is where your arms are going out like this and your legs are going also, here's my legs, your legs also going out to the side like this, okay? Both legs at the same time. Now, some children will need some help to develop that. So get them to do the arms first, and then the legs will go. And then you can see if they can join those up and do the arms and the legs. If they can, brilliant. If not, help them practice that regularly until they can. And then the challenge is the diagonal. So right arm, left leg. Can you see what I'm doing? Let me step back a little bit further. Right arm, left leg coming out. So that will help to, develop, because we're crossing the midline in a diagonal, the same as crawling. Crawling, if your child didn't crawl, or you don't know if your child crawled, maybe you adopted your son or daughter, get them crawling just to see, are they doing it in a diagonal, left leg, right arm, left leg. So check that they're doing those diagonal movements, because that develops their brain. If they're not, you've got an older child, get them commando crawling up the stairs, commando crawling, on their tummies, but it's still right arm, left leg. It really will develop the brain connections, which is going to help them over time. We're talking maybe a few months of doing this. It will help them over time to find that pause. Now, other ways to help them find the pause. I want you to think about something called an anchor. During lockdown, I smelt suntan lotion and I immediately got a holiday feeling. Why? Because the sense of smell and memory are in the limbic system, are very closely connected. So anchors are things that bring back thoughts or feelings. So I can smell suntan lotion and get a holiday feeling, and it just uplifts me. And using this theory, we can help our children anchor a feeling of calm and a sense of pausing. So with one family I worked with, the boy, and it's good to explain this to the child as far as possible and get them to come up with the ideas. The more it's their idea, the better. The boy came up with holding his ear, and he would just pinch his ear, and that would be a reminder. That would be a reminder for him to just take a minute to have a think. But anything physical, you can practice that. Now that's got to be practiced in the calm. So he's playing Lego, and have a practice while you're relaxed and enjoying your Lego. Have a little practice of pinching your ear. There we go, and then it all sort of embedded into the body. So it could be doing something like that. It could be holding the forehead. This calms the vagus nerve and stimulates the vagus nerve, the opposite of the stress response. It could be just a little signal. It could just be arms crossed. A really good one is using the V of the hand to put into the armpits and then crossing the legs over. It's a really good one, just to stop the reaction and take some deep breaths and think rather than reacting. We're talking with 3-year-olds, this could be tricky. If you've got a 3-year-old, or even if you've got a 13-year-old, or even if you've got a 23-year-old who still is really reactive and violent and aggressive and throw things and hits, then you need to think about a de-escalation plan. Now, I talk about de-escalation plans a lot in my e-course. Just to really simplify it down, I'd like you to think about 3 zones. The green zone, the amber zone, traffic light system, and the red zone. We want to avoid the red zone as far as possible. We don't want our children to go into red as far as possible. We don't want to be going into red. Well, our blood is boiling. We're getting really irritated and angry and upset. So as much as possible, we're going to have green zone, lots of fun times, lots of play, lots of relaxation, lots of self-care for us and our child. Because the less we do the self-care and the relaxation and the hobbies, the more reactive we can become. and then, you know, we're sort of playing off against the other with the child reacting, and then we get reactive and they react back, and so it escalates. No, we don't want that escalation. So as much green time as you can, you know, even if it's, I talk about 365 holidays a year, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute looking at a rose, or smelling some essential oil, or closing your eyes and deep breathing. If you're struggling with that, I always say attach a new habit to an old habit. If you put the kettle on a few times a day, then that's your time to take some deep breaths, or to do a dad dance, you know, 2-minute dad dance, and you're a completely different person, whatever it is. But 365 holidays a year, and that will help you with your self-care, so you're less reactive. And that's all green. The green zone, the fun, the joy, the nurture, the self-care. Amber is when it's all going to kick off, because you're going to say no, you can't have a double scoop of ice cream, you can have a single scoop. Or, no, I'm not taking you down your friend's house until you get your homework done. I don't know what it is in your family. No, you're not having the Xbox today because you used up all your weekly allowance of time on the Xbox. You were on it 12 hours yesterday. I don't know what goes on in your family. However, the no word, the N word, is a trigger for most of our children. And we know that it could then go into red. So knowing that, we can plan around it. And instead of no, we can use different words. Oh, not today. I'm thinking about it. Or you could say, look, I think you're going to be angry, but I'm going to say no. And by preempting and maybe telling them how they might be responding or how they might react, that might be enough to disarm it. It might not, you know your child. But one thing to do is to get them moving before you say the no. So let's do some star jumps. And we can't go to the shops today for any sweeties. Everything's rattling in my room. But by moving, you can't be angry and do star jumps at the same time. Or everybody, stand on one leg. You can see that they're just about to get angry, and they've taken something and they're about to throw it. Stand on one leg. Or, what's that smell? Anything that's physical or distracting could really help disarm the patterned reaction that the child has got themselves into, and become a bit of a pattern interrupt, and get them to stay in their thinking rational brains, particularly the left logical brain, and get them thinking. And then you ask questions. Instead of issuing instructions, you could ask some questions. What do you think we should do now? Or just a really simple question that might then take them out. Or a suggestion. Oh, should we go on the trampoline? So you're distracting them and moving them forward into something else. And we are not focusing on the single scoop of ice cream that they want when they wanted a double one. So lots to think about. I go into an awful lot more detail in my e-course. So take a look at some of my free resources at stressparent.co.uk, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Good luck with trying this out.